SCORE Northeast Wisconsin and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences. From starting to sustaining growth, learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you miss anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully you all are staying nice and toasty warm on this chilly morning. My name is Mary Rhode, and thank you so much for joining us today on another wonderful episode of Biz Talk with SCORE here on WHBY. And this morning, my co-host is Rick Sense. Rick, good morning.
Good morning, Mary.
Awesome to have you here. And per usual here, we have another dynamite guest joining us on Biz Talk. We are so pleased to be joined this morning by Dr. Paul Carlsen. He is president of Lakeshore College. Good morning, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Mary. Good morning, Rick. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And for those who may not know what prompted today's invite to you, Paul, I am an extremely proud alum of Lakeshore College, formerly Lakeshore Technical College, class of 2005. Cannot believe it, but graduated from the marketing program there and had such a wonderful experience, and certainly have been an engaged follower of the successes of the college ever since I graduated. And really just seeing all the activity, the flurry of activity that's been happening at the college in the last couple of years or so, really is what prompted me to reach out to you, Paul. It's so great to see everything just growing and expanding, and all the dynamic changes that are happening, not only in higher ed, but specifically at Lakeshore College. So, you joined your role, started your role back in 2017, and kind of walk all of us through, what led you to seek out that position. You became the fourth president of Lakeshore College, and what a prestigious role.
Oh, well, thank you, Mary. But before I dive in, we're equally proud of you as an alum, and I'm proud to be sitting here with you today. I sought out this position. If we rewind back to the time when I applied, it was the job posting. Let me restart that one. Back in 2017, I was working at the Louisiana Community Technical College system in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I had progressed during my time there to more and more responsibility. And in that role as system office, you're looking at statewide structures related to higher education, how you can manipulate those structures for the benefit of students in the system. And I love doing that, but I found I really wanted to be involved at a college level where you're working with students every day and you're ingrained in the community, and you're not just seeing student success on a sheet of paper in a state capitol, but you're seeing student success every day when you come to work, walk down the halls and look in classrooms. And so I got to a point where I was ready to captain my own ship, and the job posting came out for Lakeshore Technical College, and I was contacted by a recruiter, and we just went from there. Lakeshore Technical College, now Lakeshore College, it just checked all the boxes. It's a great community in Northeast Wisconsin. It's a small enough college that we can pivot as needed quickly, and it has a ton of community support that is so critical to making colleges like Lakeshore College successful.
So aside from the temperature shock of moving here from Louisiana, what were some of those other things that, you and certainly your family, feel free to mention your family as well. What have you enjoyed most about living here in Northeast Wisconsin?
Sure. So my wife, Christina, and I were the proud parents of two daughters, Jovi and Cara. Jovi is 12 and Cara is 7. And what we've enjoyed outside just the great responsibility and privilege of working at a college like Lakeshore is the quality of life here in Northeast Wisconsin. We have 4 seasons. My family and I, we live in Kohler, Wisconsin, right next to the school that my kids walk to and from every day. Super safe community, and the quality of life just can't be beat.
Well, we certainly agree with you how fortunate we are here in the New North and Northeast Wisconsin to have all of those things right available to us. So looking at your career path, what's something that you feel is valuable that you've learned from that path that you maybe you bring to your job every single day, or it's just something that really stuck with you, a moment or a certain experience throughout that career path?
Yeah, I had early on in my career path. So after graduate school, I worked for the South Carolina Department of Commerce, doing statewide economic development, and then Louisiana economic development shortly thereafter that, before going into higher education. And I learned there the importance of always focusing your work on what matters the most. And so for those jobs, it was focusing on job creation and job retention, because this sounds really crazy, but it's true. There are people that are counting on that work to get done, and you'll never meet them, but the work you do is going to impact their lives, and you'll never intersect, but they're counting on someone to do that work. And so in those jobs, I just leaned into working really hard and making sure I was doing the absolute best I could at everything I was assigned, so that I didn't let those people down. And that same mentality has followed me as I've gone through transition from economic development to higher education. Just always remember, what is the purpose of the work? For higher education, it is students, and making sure that we are doing the best we can, because the students who walk through our doors, they deserve nothing less than our absolute best, because we want them to be as successful as possible. So that's the most valuable thing I've learned, is focusing on the why of the work and doing the best that you can, period.
That's awesome. And certainly some great pieces of advice there for anyone, no matter what stage of life they're in. So thank you for sharing that. So, the recruiter sought you out, you started day one, you moved to the family, everything, first day of work comes. What was kind of that first thing that you did, that first focus point, that first, you walk into your office, drop your stuff down? What was that the first thing that you had in your mind of whether it was a big problem, small problem, whatever that looked like? What did day one look like for you?
Yeah, so very fortunate to come to this college in 2017, when the college was doing phenomenal work, bang up work, great faculty and staff, great community support, which meant that there wasn't glaring or apparent issues that had to be solved quickly. So what that allowed me to do on day one is to focus on meeting people, both inside the institution, and faculty, staff, and students, and learning about them and what motivated them to engage with the college. And then going further than day one, it was integrating into the community, continuing those conversations, and just immersing yourself in the culture, so that you can start to think about downstream effects of decisions you'll make in a culture, in a climate like what you've inherited at the institution.
So we've alluded to a couple times that, used to be Lakeshore Technical College. Now it's Lakeshore College. When did that rebrand happen, for those who may not know? And then kind of what prompted that?
So that rebrand happened 2 years ago. The Board of Trustees of Lakeshore College formally approved that. And let's think back of our college over the entire timeline. And Lakeshore College is over 100 years old, and the name has changed as the mission and the opportunities afforded at the college have changed. So originally we were the Vocational Technical Adult Education District 11. And,
oh my.
Then, yeah.
That's
a
mouthful.
It's a mouthful, yeah. And then, in the 70s, a referendum was passed to build our main campus in Cleveland, Wisconsin. Before that, we were just a collection of really impactful learning centers, but the voters in this area said, let's form a singular institute. And so with that campus, we shifted the name to Lakeshore Technical Institute. And then several years later, we went from a school that just offered technical diplomas or workforce certificates to also offering associate of applied science degrees. These are degrees like for registered nursing, for public safety in our criminal justice fields and all sorts of those. And with that shift, we went from Lakeshore Technical Institute to Lakeshore Technical College to better articulate our value and contributions to our community. And then 2 years ago, our college had another shift where we began offering Associate of Arts and Associate of Science degrees. Now, I know that might sound like inside baseball, but what those degrees do is essentially allow someone to take the first 2 years of their bachelor's degree in a transfer field and then go on to a university to do their last 2 years. And it's a true 2+2. You do your freshman, sophomore year at Lakeshore, your junior, senior year at a university or a college. And so that fundamentally shifted our college from just being exclusively workforce focused to being workforce focused, which we do a phenomenal job at and continue to do and engage in this day, but to also being transfer focused. So the name Lakeshore College is a better reflection of the work we do in the entirety of the institution and how we engage with our community.
Awesome. So why don't we, I guess maybe we should have done this at the beginning, but give the folks listening kind of the quick high level Lakeshore College, some of those quick stats, number of students, number of staff, number of degrees, certificates, offerings, all the things. Can you just give us a quick rundown for folks?
Absolutely. We've got about 300 full-time employees who work here on a regular basis, and we'll teach and support a little under 9,000 students annually. About half of those students are pursuing degrees like you were, Mary, back in 2005. The other half are incumbent workers doing very specific skilled training to meet the needs of our employer. And we offer 70 degrees here at Lakeshore College.
Wow. Has that, not to harken back to my days, but is that 70 number, is that significant? Has that grown a lot? I know I certainly have seen you guys adding different degrees over time, but is it a significant jump in any way?
It wouldn't be a significant jump, Mary. So as a college, a local college like us, who primarily exist for meeting the workforce needs of the employers in our community, we're constantly altering the mix of programs we offer to make sure they're relevant to what our employers need. What that means is from time to time, there will be programs that we offered 10 years ago that are simply no longer relevant in today's marketplace. And so as those sunset based on employer needs and community needs, new programs come to take those over.
So how do you kind of gauge that? Do you have a core group of local employers that you meet with frequently to kind of get that temperature, that feeling of what's needed at the time? Do you look at it over a certain period of time and try to predict or understand what those needs are?
Yeah, good question. So all of our programs, or those 70 degrees, have an industry advisory board. And the advisory board is made up of folks who work for employers who are going to hire the graduates in those fields. And they're constantly giving us input on what skills graduates need and what equipment they should be training on so that they can hire them and have minimal to no on-the-job training. So that's how we work to keep relevant our current programs to meet workforce needs and evolve in the future. On the flip side, how do we maintain and assess whether or not a legacy program is no longer relevant? We do an annual program review where we are looking at enrollment, job openings, graduate outcomes. By that, I mean, are they getting a job, and is their job earning a wage premium? So we want folks that come to Lakeshore College to graduate with a degree that is going to add value when they apply for a job. If they graduate with a degree that does not add any value than a high school diploma would, that's something we need to seriously reflect on as an institution and determine whether or not we're doing that student a good job. So we do that on an annual basis, and that's how we work to assess sunsetting and then sunrising. Also, in the last several years, we've started a cybersecurity program enrollments at about 180. Next fall, we're hoping to open our dental hygiene program. So we're constantly ebbing and flowing based on the needs of our community.
Well, this is our first break here coming up. You are listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we will be right back after these messages.
Welcome back to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY. I'm Rick Sense, along with Mary Rhode this week, and we have the good fortune of talking with Dr. Paul Carlsen, president of Lakeshore College. Very interesting conversation so far, and we're going to get back to that in just a moment. But first, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about SCORE. SCORE Northeast Wisconsin serves an 18-county area in Northeast Wisconsin that also includes the county of Menominee in Michigan. We have over 50 volunteers, each an expert in their field, offering entrepreneurs no-cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, human resources, retail best practices, and many, many others. In order to register for a no-cost, confidential mentoring session and or to learn more about SCORE Northeast Wisconsin, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer you assistance in many different areas. To get started, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And finally, this reminder about the Biz Talk with Score podcast. The Biz Talk with Score podcast brings you the same real-world stories and insights from experienced entrepreneurs and business leaders, just like Biz Talk with Score on WHBY does each Saturday morning. However, the Biz Talk with Score podcast is available when you are. So listen and follow today, tomorrow, or whenever you want. And we are available on most podcatchers and podcast apps, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So, Paul, I have to ask you this question. You mentioned your background, you have economic development in your background. And we live in a community right now, we have high manufacturing, high agricultural, a lot of technical stuff, a lot of expertise, a lot of higher end business needs in our community. With your background, how important is it for you to bring that experience to the role you have in helping set the strategy of tackling economic development issues at Lakeshore and for the community?
Yeah, thanks, Rick. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in economic development in both South Carolina and Louisiana. And it's just a perfect example of the public sector and the private sector intersecting and working at that intersection. What I learned in those jobs was there are the opportunity for communities and states to have so many good jobs, whether that be through business recruitment or business expansion or just business retention. But those jobs are not going to come if there aren't the people to fill those jobs, or if there's not the people with the capacity to get the skills to fill those jobs. And so my time in economic development, I thought much and worked a lot on aligning educational outputs with workforce priorities in industry sectors in both South Carolina and Louisiana. So where I've approached economic development and our role here at Lakeshore College is to make sure we are producing skilled graduates that have the skills to fill the jobs that are available today, but also embedding within them the skills they will need to make sure they are relevant in the marketplace 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 years down the road as that job advances. So the more we work here at the college to align our offerings with current needs and future needs, the stronger we're going to be at helping businesses expand and helping retain businesses and get new businesses here. And we do that in a ton of ways. Just one is by the work we do, right? The purposeful work we do, but also working very closely with our local economic development agencies and our regional economic development entity, the New North, which I have the privilege of serving as secretary of that board, making sure we're part of discussions early in economic development projects so that we're able to learn what the needs are now, so that when the project comes to fruition 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we're already firing all cylinders to make sure we're hitting all of their needs.
When you're sitting around and having those strategic conversations at the college and with the board, what kind of issues are being brought to your attention, and what do you think Northeastern Wisconsin education can do to help us prepare even better for those things and those changes as we go forward?
Well, okay. Thanks. Yeah, Rick. That's $1 million question, so I appreciate you asking me that. What we're discussing is a reality of a lack of bodies in the area, right? Just that's the reality. But it's happening at a time where companies, not just super ultra advanced, manufacturing companies, but companies are starting to automate more and more. So that's really a good alignment to collide with the lack of bodies and an increase in automation, because now we can start training people and students on the automation skills to make sure they are set up to work in factories and employment places of the future, and future-proofing those workers regardless of the project.
When you look back in your career path, what prepared you the most, do you think, in your prior roles to the current job you have now that was bringing forward that future direction, the decision-making you need to set forward for the college as you move forward in the community?
Yeah, hard to pinpoint. There's just so many things that help prepare for this role, and so many things that I wish I had thought more about as I went into the role. But for me, in terms of my thinking for this role, goes back to Louisiana when I was involved with something called the WISE Council. WISE stood for Workforce Innovation for a Stronger Economy. It was an investment the state made in higher education for the first time in a very long time. And it distributed money to higher education institutions based on their abilities to fill workforce gaps in high demand fields. And so you would be incentivized to graduate more welders because there was this massive need for welders. And you might be less incentivized to graduate dentists because it's a great job, but there were just less job openings and availabilities for dentists. So that's where I really started to think about how can we make sure we are laser focused on aligning what we're doing as an institution of higher education to the workforce needs that exist today, and having that always top of mind. The reality for a college like ours, Rick, is the majority of students are coming because they want to get a raise at their current job, or they want to get a job, or they want to change careers. And so let's make sure we've set up a system that makes whatever choice they make in our academic portfolio as valuable as possible for them in achieving those goals. And you do that by aligning it with high wage, high demand jobs.
All right. With that, we'll take our second break this morning. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll return right after these messages.
And welcome back to Biz Talk with Score here on WHBY. I'm joined this morning by my co-host, Rick Sense. And our amazing guest this morning is Dr. Paul Carlsen, president of Lakeshore College. And quickly before we get back to our conversation with Paul, just would love to remind all of you about the Biz Talk with Score podcast. Biz Talk with Score brings you expert advice, impactful stories, and real-world insights from experienced entrepreneurs and business leaders. You can listen and follow today to this podcast episode along with many others from the past. We've had some pretty amazing and impactful guests in the past as well. And you can listen to any of those episodes available wherever you get your podcasts. And Paul, just to kind of bring you back in here and touch on a little bit of something that you mentioned in the previous segment. You mentioned the term automation and how automation is really impacting today's workforce. And, I'll kind of tie in automation with just technology in general, right? And I can imagine just as challenging as it is for any business, any entrepreneur, even the large companies that are out there, similarly for higher ed institutions, how do you keep the college at the forefront of technology? Certainly what's available to your students on campus, but even really above and beyond that, just technology in general.
Yeah. Great question, Mary. We're very fortunate here at Lakeshore College to have just outstanding faculty and staff who are committed to being the best they can and always wanting to learn and grow. And we invest heavily in professional development, and it's doing that helps them continue to think differently and grow and keep up with technologies. In terms of our programs or our degree programs, a big portion of that comes from those advisory committees we talked about earlier. So all of our programs have an advisory committee that helps shape curriculum, and we look for them to lead us on where technology is going for their field so that we can make sure our students are ready for that. That's something that's really unique about technical colleges like ours in the state of Wisconsin is we're not crafting degrees and programs from the top down. We're relying on our partners in the community to tell us what to do and help us build those programs from the ground up. And when you do that, you have a sticky relationship that makes it mutually beneficial to continue to grow together and learn from one another. And it's that connection of the advisory committees, that community support that is our absolutely most critical, important tool to helping us stay at the forefront of technology.
So as you are out there in the, amongst a lot of choices for students, both today's learners, but even that next generation of learners, right? You're trying to get their attention and let them know the offerings that you have at your college. And, for myself at the time, when I was looking at different options, for me, it was the fact that I could live at home and I could save some money, and it was a quick 40-minute drive, and I could take advantage of classes. Certainly a lot has changed since then. But how, just how kids learn today is certainly very, very different. And how do you continue to keep up with their choice of how they choose to learn, whether that be virtual, whether that be in person, whether it be a hybrid of both? And then I guess additionally, how do you prepare your staff to continue to tackle the challenges that could come with the different ways that kids learn today?
You said something really true there, that kids and people have a choice in education, and we 100% recognize that. And we hope they'll choose us, but we need to have a value proposition that sets us apart. And we lean on affordability. Our tuition price point is about a fourth of a regional UW college, about a fifth of UW-Madison, and we lean into our faculty to student ratio of 1:11, which means in the classroom, our faculty know their students, they know what motivates them, they know their name, they know what they want to do when they graduate. And that same intimacy is outside of the classroom as well. For us, though, what we've really leaned in to accommodating today's learner or learners, because there are just so many varying ways of it, is something we call competency-based education. And competency-based education is where we take an old model of education that was just based on hitting milestones on a linear timeline, all moving together at once, to a model where each student moves at their own pace as they master skills and competencies to earn their degree. So what that means is if you have a student that comes in to our auto maintenance program and has been working in the auto maintenance field for several years, they're able to demonstrate competencies in rapid succession and complete essentially a year's worth of work in less than a semester and keep moving on and accelerate their learning. Conversely, you might have someone in the same program that has never worked in an auto maintenance lab that comes in and needs a little more time to show that they can master those competencies. And now this model allows them to do so. So for us, what sets us apart and accounts for varying types of learning is that competency-based education, where it's individualized at the pace of students and available at times and places that make sense for students. So what that means is we're not just teaching from 8 to 5 on work days. It means labs are open throughout the week, on evenings, sometimes on weekends, and the learning that a student doesn't necessarily have to do in a lab, they're able to consume that electronically at home or wherever they are, or come to class through that as well, so they can maximize their hands-on learning here at the college.
So, I mean, really, you're meeting the students where they're at, which is certainly making a lasting impact on how they learn and inevitably setting them up for success so they can be not only the best student they can be, but also the best employee they can be. And I know, again, just to harken back to my experience, in my time, there was a large corporation in Manitowoc that had shut down, and there were many, just a flood of second career students. So these were individuals who, I was probably old enough to be their daughter, right? That was such an impactful learning opportunity for me to be in a classroom at that time, right? Online learning was not a thing. So to be in a classroom with them and be doing projects with them, and they have twice the life experience that I did. And that was really what I took away from my technical college experience, is that ability to learn and be in a room with many different people of all ages.
That is a really great point, Mary. I think back to my time. I did my undergraduate at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and it was a great school. I had a great time there, learned a lot, but I was surrounded by students who were just very much like me. They were college bound. They were high school graduates. We all had the same ACT score, although theirs were probably all better than mine. But we were all just very, very similar, right? And here at Lakeshore, it's like you said there. You've got a high school graduate, just graduated from maybe Lincoln High School, Manitowoc, 4.0 GPA, wants to start their baccalaureate journey at Lakeshore College, to be close to home like you were, Mary, or to save some money, to a 6-year-old dislocated worker learning a new trade to get back in the workforce. They're all in the same classroom. You've got everything in between. And what's phenomenal about our faculty at Lakeshore and other schools like ours is that our faculty are teaching that whole gambit in that classroom. It's not all cookie cutter folks like it was for me at Colorado. They are taking each of those students, meet them where they are, and helping them get to where they want to go. We're open access 2-year colleges like ours are just a uniquely American invention, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
So one of the many ways that you and others at Lakeshore College are letting people know what's happening, what's going on, what are the changes, what's coming, what's new, is social media. And specifically, though, I want to call out LinkedIn. So for those who already follow you, or if there are listeners out there who don't already, I highly encourage you to seek Paul out on LinkedIn. Kudos to you. Your LinkedIn is quite fascinating, and you are always sharing out something so positive. And I have a couple of notes here and a couple of posts that I want to call out specifically, if that's okay. Ones that have caught my attention over the last couple of years. Hosting a student listening session, you, president of the college, who I'm sure you have a jam-packed schedule. You sat in a room with students and listened to them and their needs, what they're seeking out, what they're looking for. That's fascinating to me. Lakeshore College Foundation has awarded over $367,000 in scholarships to current and future students. Hands-on learning opportunities in the mobile manufacturing lab. Super cool. Sampling some chicken fried steak made by college culinary students. Really cool. The college itself ranking number 2 in Wisconsin, campus renovations for the dental lab, the student success area, and just countless faculty recognitions, new staff additions. I just saw one this week, another picture of new staff being added. So, I mean, so many amazing things being shared out, and that certainly has to have an impact in that trickle down effect, right? Of hopefully new students finding you and seeking you out. So, of those things that I mentioned, and certainly there are some that I haven't, is there anything that you specifically want to kind of highlight out of any of that?
I do want to clarify. I did not sample chicken fried steak. I ate a lot of it because it was very good. I post a lot, and the colleges as well, on social media, because our college is worth promoting, and I believe in what we do. I believe in who we are, and I want to make sure that folks know they have an opportunity here at the college should they choose to take it. I think I would be amiss, maybe even derelict as the college president if I was not constantly promoting the college. But there's also, like you said, there's the recruitment factor. There's also this reality that for many people, LinkedIn, in my post, and other people's posts, that is their lens into what's happening in the college. So not everybody's at the college every day. Not everyone's getting to eat the chicken fried steak or come to the listening sessions or all that. But that is their one touch point to see my posts on their network to say, oh, that's Lakeshore College. They're doing some really great work there. Maybe next time I'm in the I remember when I was at church and the person next to me said their daughter was thinking of college. Maybe I should talk to them about Lakeshore College. So it has that effect. And, and also the recognitions of our faculty and staff. That's just a way to show appreciation. We love the great work they do. We want people to know those recognitions exist. And we also want to make sure our faculty and staff know we appreciate them.
Paul, you said something really interesting that caught my attention. The quote you said was, "Our college is worth promoting." And I know so many people in business, entrepreneurs, that feel that same passion that you just expressed for Lakeshore College, but they haven't taken the initiative to go out on LinkedIn or other social media channels and done things. What advice would you give that business person, that entrepreneur out there that has a business that is worth promoting, to go out and get started?
Sure. So I'm not the marketing whiz like Mary here, but it can be intimidating, and just get comfortable with some things, or maybe many things, not getting the traction you hope. But eventually it'll get there. For every Facebook post I have that has like 50 likes, or a LinkedIn post with 50 or 100, I've got a trail of 10 to 15 that have 1 or 2, and one of the likes is my wife. But it's all about just getting that content out there and just being confident about it. And you might feel like you're screaming into the void, but you're not. It's getting there. You're building that resume. You're building a fluidity of work, because at the end of the day, if you as the CEO of a business or a believer in a business, if you're not the one promoting it, it's hard to ask somebody else to promote it for you, and they just won't.
So, we're staring at Christmas here coming up in a couple weeks, and the end of the year, and the flip over of a calendar into a brand new year. So, share with with the listeners here today, what's left on your to-do list, as the year ends and we start another. And, certainly you are at the helm of keeping Lakeshore College a part of that regional, statewide, and national higher education dialogue.
So top of mind for my to-do list right now is graduation coming up in a couple of weeks, and making sure, like we always do, we do a phenomenal job recognizing our graduates and celebrate our graduates, so that their family and friends can be as proud of their accomplishments as our graduates are. As we think about next year, I'm starting to think about how we can expand our manufacturing footprint into a new 17,000 square foot lab. And we've gotten a ton of very positive feedback from major manufacturing employees. I look forward to doing that work in earnest next year. And then also, we continue to evolve here as a college. You can look all across the country and see that colleges like ours have started to continue to evolve to meet workforce needs by offering advanced degrees in fields where there is an acute workforce shortage within their regional context. Right now, today, 24 states authorize community colleges like Lakeshore College to offer bachelor's degrees in those specific fields that are massively undersupplied and they need more graduates. There's 24 states already doing that. And you think of areas where like nursing or education, where even if we all are graduating nurses and teachers, there's still not enough. So let's open up that pipeline and make sure we can meet community needs, especially in rural communities where it's difficult to access higher education. Let's leverage our rural colleges to make sure we can hit those baccalaureate needs.
Well, with that, we are going to take our last and final break here on Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY, and we will be back right after these messages.
Welcome back to Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY. I'm Rick Sense along with Mary Rhode this week, and we are talking with Dr. Paul Carlsen, president of Lakeshore College. And before we get back to our conversation with Paul, I'd just like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for their generous support of Biz Talk. Thank you to Hailing & Associates. Hailing & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan for the future. Hailing & Associates, personal connection, positive results. Thanks to Johnson Financial Group. Wherever you are in life or the life of your business, Johnson Financial Group works to match the banking and wealth services needed to help you complete your mission. Thank you to the Business News for promoting our program in the bi-weekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin with the latest business news and topics for the region. We are grateful for the support of the Community First Credit Union, a new sponsor. For 50 years, Community First has provided financial products and services that have been finding a way for its members and communities it serves. Community First Credit Union will find a way. Thanks to New North, the Regional Marketing and Economic Development Corporation, for their promotion of SCORE. The New North facilitates economic growth and helps people in the region live their best lives. We would like to recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation to Biz Talk and SCORE Northeastern Wisconsin. So, Paul, as we kind of get ready to close out our program, how can people learn more about Lakeshore College and learn about you? Where would you direct them?
Direct them straight to the website there, Rick. Our website is lakeshore.edu. And if you want to call, you can call our main line here at 920-693-1000. And you're always welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook, send me a message, and I'll certainly engage.
All right. So I have to imagine everything in life always has its challenges. I mean, there's positives, and you've done a great job, I think, today laying out the wonderful positive atmosphere taking place at Lakeshore College. But maybe you can just spend some time talking to listeners about some of the challenges, maybe those two or three things that are keeping you up at night as you're going forward with strategic direction for the college.
Sure. I know we're getting close on time here, so I'll preface this by saying we are actively working to address all these challenges. If you want to know how, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll have a further convo for anybody out there. Number one thing that's keeping me up at night is the same that has for the last 8+ years on this job. It is the person in our community who wants something better for themselves, and education is that pathway, but they're just not thinking about it for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they've never been to the college. Maybe no one in their family's been to college that can help them navigate that. So helping those people and making sure they find the college is super important, and it keeps me up at night knowing there's people out there that are just not there yet. Another thing that keeps me up is preparing for the future. Right now, things are evolving technologically at just a rapid pace, and making sure that we continue to stay on top of that in times of exponential changes is something that keeps me up at night. And then the final thing I would say is we're at a time right now where the folks are questioning more and more the value of higher education. And I think we have so many evidence points here in our community, evidence points in terms of graduates like Mary who are proof positive of the value of higher education. But I worry about that dialogue, but I feel confident that we will overcome that, and we are overcoming that here in our community.
Paul, are you having fun?
I'm having a blast, Rick. Yeah.
Okay. So I appreciate you being on this morning. And folks, if you enjoyed what you heard this morning, or if you want to go back and glean other lessons from our conversation this morning, I know I have a bunch of notes. My favorite comment this morning, our college is worth promoting. And I hope all those business leaders out there and entrepreneurs feel the same way about their businesses that are listening in. So, Paul, thank you again for being on the program this morning. And listeners, again, you can catch the podcast starting Wednesday of next week. And we appreciate you tuning in to Biz Talk with SCORE. And until next time.